Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvikacharya. Astroshar Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Mayapur Dham ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Yamuna Mai ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Urdayet Nasta Praishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9, Text 15. Dravida Prabhu said it's an irregular meter, yeah. So he'll chant the Sanskrit.
Te Arhatama
Arhatama
Namaha
Namaha
Stuti
Stuti
Karma
Karma
Pujaha
Pujaha
Karma
Karma
Smitish
Smitish
Shadanayoho
Charanoho
Shavanam
Shravanam
Katayam
Katayam
Sangsevaya
Samsevaya
Tvahi
Tvai
Vineti
Vineti
Shad
Shad
Angaya
Angaya
Kim
Kim
Bhaktim
Bhaktim
Jana
Jana
Paramahaṁsa
Paramahamsa
Gatao
Gatau
Labheta
Labeta
Tatte Hartamanamakstuti Karma Puja
Tatir Hattama Namastuta Karma Puju
Karma Smitish Chachanayo Shavanam Katayam
Karma Smriti Sharano Shravanam Katayam
Sangsevayatu Hivineti Shadangaya Kim Bhaktinjana Padamahaṁsa Gata Labeta Tatter Hattamanamakstuti Karma Puja
Tatir Hattama Namastuti
Karma Smitish Chatanayo Shavanam Katayam
Karma Smriti Sharanayo Shravanam Katayam
Sangsevayatu Hivineti Shadangaya Kim Bhaktim Janak Padamahaṁsa Gata Labeta Tatte Hartamanamakstuti Karma Puja
Tatir Hattama Namastuti Karma Puja
Karma Smitish Chatanayo Shavanam Katayam Sangsevayatu Hivineti Shadangayakam Shadangayakam Bhaktim Janak Padamahaṁsa Gata Labeta
Tatir Hatama Namastu.
But no, you chant it one more time because you'll do it nicely.
Tate Hartamanamakstuti Karma Puja.
Tatir Hatama Karma Puja.
Karma Smitishchatanayo Shavanam Katayam.
Karma Smitishcharayano Shavanam Katayam.
Sangsevayat Hivaneti Shadangayakim. Bhaktim Jana Paramahaṁsas Gata Labeta.
Bhaktim Jana Paramahaṁsas Gata. Tatir Hatama Namastuti Karma Puja.
Bhaktim Jana Paramahaṁsas Gata Labeta. Bhaktim Jana Paramahaṁsas Gata Labeta.
Karma Smitishcharayano Shavanam Katayam. Samsevaya Tvayuneti Sankinakim. Matajis. Samsevaya Tvayuneti Shamgayakim. Bhaktim Jana Paramahaṁsas Gata Labeta. Anyone online?
Tatir Hatama Namastuti Karma Puja. Karma Smritish Charanayo Shravanam Katayam. Tamsevaya Vai Vineti Shadangayakim. Bhaktim Jana Paramahaṁsas Gata Labeta.
Synonyms. Tat, therefore. Te, unto you. Arhatama, O supreme of all worshipable persons. Namaha, respectful obeisances. Stuti karma puja, worshipping your lordship by offering prayers and other devotional activities. Karma, activities being dedicated to you. Shmitihi, constant remembrance. Charanayoho, of your lotus feet. Shravanam, always hearing. Katayam, and topics about you. Samsevaya, such devotional service. Tvai, unto you. Vena, without. Iti, thus. Shatangaya, having 6 different parts. Kim, how. Bhaktim, devotional service. Janaha, a person. Paramahaṁsas Gatau, obtainable by the Paramahamsa. Labeta, may attain. Translation. Therefore, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, the best of all persons to whom prayers are offered, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because without rendering 6 kinds of devotional service unto you, offering prayers, dedicating all the results of activities, worshiping you, working on your behalf, always remembering your lotus feet, and hearing about your glories, who can achieve that which is meant for the paramahaṁsas? Purport. The Vedas enjoin na yam atma pravachanena labhyo na medya na bahuna shrutena. One cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by studying the Vedas and offering prayers. Only by the grace of the Supreme Lord can one understand Him. The process of understanding the Lord, therefore, is bhakti. Without bhakti, simply following the Vedic injunctions to understand the absolute truth will not be helpful at all. The process of bhakti is understood by the paramahaṁsa, one who has accepted the essence of everything. The results of bhakti are reserved for such a paramahaṁsa, and this stage cannot be obtained by any Vedic process other than devotional service. Other processes such as jnana and yoga can be successful only when mixed with bhakti. When we speak of jnana yoga, karma yoga, and dhyana yoga, the word yoga indicates bhakti. Bhakti yoga or buddhi yoga, executed with intelligence and full knowledge, is the only successful method for going back home, back to Godhead. If one wants to be liberated from the pangs of material existence, he should take to devotional service for quick attainment of this goal. Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahuganar Agunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sita Devi Hare Pray Vancha Kalpataribhishcha Kripasunibhi Evacha Patithanam Pavinabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. They say if you can't beat them, join them. Everyone in this material world, they're suffering, but for some reason, they don't want to join the Hare Krishnas. Unfortunately, in the early days, the movement, we made some mistakes, but that doesn't discount Srila Prabhupada's pure intention, which is to deliver all fallen souls and deliver them to the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. This material world is designed to give us pain and suffering. When you go out on book distribution, you see people and they just look miserable. I asked one person, I said, how do you deal with pain and suffering? And he said, just keep drinking. That is a solution to problem. Yeah. And a lot of people, they have no other option besides this. During 4th of July, I was trying to take rest, and people were yelling, acting like they were having fun, but in actuality, they're trying to escape their problems. His Holiness Devamrita Swami, he has a really nice book called Hiding in Unnatural Happiness. And this book captivates a lot of people that walk by. I post it in such a way where they see it from the left and the right side. So unnatural happiness, Maya Sukhaya, people think they're happy, but they're actually not. One disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he asked, we've been here for many lifetimes. How many years will it take to atone for our sinful And Srila Prabhupada, he stopped him right away. He said 1 minute. And then he asked him, "You do not read Bhagavad Gita?" And Srila Prabhupada quoted this famous verse, Sarva Dharman Parityajam Mamekam Sharanam Vrajam. And Srila Prabhupada explained that Krishna, he takes care of all of our sinful reactions in a minute. And after Srila Prabhupada said this, all the devotees, they remained quiet. But the thing is, we have difficulty surrendering to Krishna, because this material world, she has a very wonderful, thankless task, and it's for us to forget Krishna and our relationship to Krishna. And according to the laws of karma, sins fructify as misery. A lot of people, they say, "Oh, why did God, put me in this situation?" But they don't understand the way karma works. And karma is a law. That means no one cannot transgress it. If you don't believe in karma, if you are ignorant of karma, it doesn't excuse you. So the books that we distribute, they talk about all of this. But ultimately, it comes down to devotional service. Srila Prabhupada's books, you'll always hear three things. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 2, devotional service. And 3 is to surrender to Krishna. This will make one happy, but we're so dull-minded, we don't want to surrender. In the conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and the sages, they said, Prayino Paishaha Sabhya Kalavasmin Yugejana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagyahi Upadrutaha. They predicted that in this age of Kali, this iron age, people are very lazy when it comes to spiritual advancement. Even when it comes to even material advancement, a lot of people are lazy. They don't want to work, and they try to cheat people. Srila Prabhupada, he explains that there's cheaters, and then there's people that want to be cheated. I met some person the other day, and I was telling her about mantra meditation. And she said, "Oh, I have a mantra." And I said, "Oh, can you tell it to me?" She said, "No," like that. And then it's secret. And I remember Vijay Prabhu, he said when he first got into spirituality, he paid, I think, $100 for a mantra. Now it's multiplied. Yeah. And people now, they like an easy way out, I was telling a lot of people that most people, when they come to religion, they search for 2 things, salvation and enjoyment after this life. There's no question of God. There's no question of service to God. They just want something from Krishna. We have a sign that says philosophy. There was a man that came to my table. He said, "What is your philosophy?" And I said, "Chanting, dancing, and feasting." He said, "That sounds like my philosophy." And he said, what type of books do you have here? So explaining the Bhagavad Gita and all of the different books Srila Prabhupada wrote. And he said, "I really want to get to know this philosophy." And I asked him, "Where do you live?" Unfortunately, in summer, a lot of people come from different states, sometimes out of country. So I wasn't able to invite him to the Krishna Lounge. But he really took pleasure in hearing what I had to say. When you tell him that this material world is not where we belong, any person that's sober-minded, they can agree to it. Srila Prabhupada, he loves this word dhira. In many of his lectures, he would say this word dhira. And he says, dhira, living entities, they will look for a solution. There's a story. In a lake, there were 3 types of fishes. One fish, he had a specialty of, he always anticipated danger. And he would try to find a solution before that danger comes. The second type of fish, he would, with his sharp intelligence, he would find a solution when the problem comes. And the third type of fish, he lets fate handle it, whatever comes, comes. So one day, they heard that a fisherman was coming to this lake. The first fish, he knew there was danger, so he left the area. The second fish, when he was caught in the net, he pretended that he was dead. So the fisherman threw him back in the sea, the ocean, the water. And then the third fish, he saw, let destiny come. He was killed, eaten, So a lot of people, they foolishly say like that, I'm just going to let fate happen. And it's described that fate is the results of our previous activities. They cannot be changed, but we can change the destiny, meaning the next life, the future. For a fool, life is a struggle, and for the intelligent, life is an adventure. In the Bhagavad Gita, Maharaj, he would always mention how, he wasn't ready to move into the temple. And then he read that line, I'm adventure. Krishna is saying that. So for a devotee, he tries to find solutions to the problems of life. Whereas non-devotees, they try to escape from it. They even indulge in sinful activities. Whenever I pick up Maharaj in the morning, we see at least a person in the alleyways. And Maharaj would say, one, they're either coming back from a sinful activity, or two, they're going to do something sinful, But for the devotees, we're up chanting our rounds. We're ready to greet Krishna in the morning. So for the devotees, life is an adventure, and we can see Krishna in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna describes how we can see him in this material world. It's very nice, actually. So devotional service. Krishna's, this is from Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion. He says, Krishna is all attractive, but pure devotional service attracts even him. So imagine how devotional service, Krishna, that's why he wanted to become a devotee. He wanted to experience what Srimati Radharani was experiencing. And at the same time to teach us what it's like to be a devotee. I met some Mataji. She was from Poland. And I was speaking to a couple. And after they got books, this Mataji approached me. And the first thing I noticed, she had a Narasimha Kavacha. And I said, where are you from? And she said, I'm from Poland. And she said, how do you know about devotees? And then she mentioned how His Holiness Shivaram Swami, he went to her place and he conducted some type of Namahata, and she really liked it. And she's starting to chant, and she's like really close to being a devotee. And she said, can I buy a Bhagavad Gita from you? And I said, is it for you? And she said, no, I like to give it to people, my friends and family. And I was telling her, this is a very glorious service. And then she said, I agree. So she gave a donation and she walked away. And then a few hours later, as they were leaving, she stopped again to my table. And she said, please keep doing what you're doing. She said, everybody needs Srila Prabhupada's books. And I told her, let me see if I have some prasadam for you, And then she was very emotional. She said, thank you, just for that thought, I really appreciate it, So even if it's like a lollipop or sandesh or burfi, some type of sweet. But unfortunately, I didn't have any sweets that day to offer her. But she was really appreciative of what the devotees do. Yeah, but Kanai limits us to one cookie. But it states that there are 6 characteristics of pure devotional service, and they are as follows. Pure devotional service brings immediate relief from all kinds of material distress. Krishna says there's 4 types of people that come to him, and one of them is those that are in distress. We can think back before we joined the movement, how was our lives, I can say for myself, I was in distress. And pure devotional service is the beginning of all auspiciousness. A hog, it thinks it's enjoying by eating stool. But for a human being, that's very abominable. So a lot of people, they think what they're doing in life is very important, and they think it's very important, but it's actually not. And it's inauspicious. 3, pure devotional service automatically puts one in transcendental pleasure. The devotees, when they go out on Harinam, you see how blissful they are, putting their hands up, dancing, chanting as loud as they can. From this room where I'm resting for a little bit, I can hear the devotees on cast. The mridanga, the kartals, the wampers, I can hear the chanting, And then I remember when I heard that, everybody stops to see what's happening, And it's really nice. So auspiciousness. Pure devotional service is rarely achieved. Srila Rupa Goswami, he explains that Krishna, he can award liberation to anyone, but it's actually not significant. He even awards liberation to the demons that tries to kill him. But he doesn't award devotional service to just anyone. So we should keep this in mind. When we perform devotional service, we're doing something very, very extraordinary. Parvati, she asked Lord Shiva, I think you guys know this, what is the best form of worship? And Lord Shiva, he said the topmost is Lord Vishnu. And then he told Parvati, but higher than that is service to the Vaishnavas. Krishna takes pleasure when his devotees are served, not him directly. Those in pure devotional service derive even the conception of liberation. Sometimes you get harassed by Christians. They love coming to our table. And the first thing they ask is, have you ever sinned before? It's like, of course, And the next thing they ask is, do you know who saved you? And when I try explaining them that Krishna, they don't want to hear it. And I tell them actually liberation is not very important to us. And they can't conceive of this. Because for them, they want salvation from this material world. And pure devotional service is the only means to attract Krishna. Devotional service is so wonderful. It's very glorious. I remember when I first started coming to the temple, one of the first glorious services I was doing, does anybody want to guess? Washing pots. Washing pots, And it's very nice. I remember Janaran Prabhu, he was washing pots. And I said, hey, let me help you. And he pushed me away. He said, no, I need all the purification I need. I need to clean the heart. And that always stuck to me, So sometimes we forget that, menial service is actually very sweet and it attracts Krishna. Okay. Happiness derived from pure devotional service is the highest because it is eternal. I was speaking to some young man yesterday. He was very, very, speculating and this and that, He was actually agnostic, he admitted. And then he said, but what about, the happiness now? And I said, that's temporary. And then he wanted to move on from this topic. And I said, no, you have to understand the happiness that you're seeking, it's temporary, as a beginning and an end. So I showed him that verse in the Bhagavad Gita, how the wise person, they don't take delight in Dravida Prabhu. Do you want to recite the...
Yeah. The intelligent person does not partake of the...
microphone? Microphone? This is the revised...
Yeah, the intelligent person does not take part in the pleasures that are derived from the contact of the senses with the sense objects. O son of Kunti, such pleasures are the source of all misery, and they have a beginning and an end. And so the wise do not delight in them.
I showed him that verse, and he kind of stopped for a minute. And then he told me when he was young, his parents did the marshmallow test on him.
Did the what? Marshmallow test.
Do you guys... Yeah. They put a marshmallow in front of a child, and they said, if you can wait till I come back, you get 2 marshmallows. And he said he was one of the ones that succeeded. He was able to wait, So that's why he's very intelligent, And I told him there's prayas and shreyas. And I told him long-term benefit, it's actually more better than short-term. And then he agreed. And then he said, out of all of these books, what book should I start with? And I said, you should read Bhagavad Gita. It teaches the essence of the philosophy. And he said, can I give you a donation? I said, we accept a donation. So he gave a donation. And when he was walking away, he said, your arguments were very, he said they made sense, Because I was telling him how in the Islam faith, they don't believe that God can come to his creation. And I told him that's limiting God. If we accept God is all-powerful, why can't he come to his creation? And I told him that some religions, they believe that God is formless and he has no face. And then he said, yeah, I never understood that. And so I showed him the Krishna book. I said, this is Krishna. And he said, why does he appear like human? So I showed him the verse in the Bhagavad Gita. And he said, well, all the answers are in the Bhagavad Gita. And I said, if you want to understand Krishna, you should take this Krishna book also. So I put it on top of the Bhagavad Gita. He said, I'm going to read this. Like that. Because everybody's looking for some type of relationship in this world. Whether it's marriage, friendship, pet dog, pet cat, But we're looking for it in the wrong places. And Srila Prabhupada, he mentions the paramahaṁsas, the pure devotees. The pure devotees, they can impart knowledge to us on what is pleasing to Krishna and how to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. And we should learn to serve them. Srila Prabhupada, he says this material world is foreign country for you. This material world. We belong to the spiritual world. We belong to the world where there is eternal, where life is eternal, where life is blissful, and where there is no ignorance. And Srila Prabhupada, he really wants us to try our best to try to go back home, back to Godhead. But this free will that we have is a big impediment sometimes. And we live in the great US of A. Right? People dream to come here. 4th of July, you see that, USA all day, every day, But Srila Prabhupada, he asked, do you know if you were American in your previous life? People don't know. Beauty and wealth without good character are like ornaments on a dead body. So I was telling these two Matajis yesterday, because they told me that a friend, a girl, and she had a problem with lust. And I told them that's horrible. And I said she's actually degrading herself. And they were silent. They wanted to hear what I had to say. And I told them that you can tell her that sex pleasure is not the highest. There's a higher type of pleasure, which is spiritual pleasure. And long story short, they wanted to know more about our philosophy. So I invited them to the Krishna Lounge. One lives here, and then the other one lives in Arizona. But the one that's local, she wants to attend the Krishna Lounge. Okay. And I asked them to read this sentence. Those attracted to a handsome man who has demoniac character are like flies attracted to garbage. And then I told him, a person should have good qualities, not just that they look nice, And then they agreed. Okay. So it's almost end. And, sometimes as devotees, we don't like to be chastised, but we seek praise. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says, one who praises me is my enemy. One who chastises me is my friend. Because he was talking about all these bogus, gurus and yogis. When they get praised, it puffs them up. But for a devotee, they want to make sure that this praise is worthy. Okay. I met a young man the other day, And I was telling him how we're vegetarian. And he said he's been vegan for 30 years. So I asked him, what caused you to be vegan? And he said, my father, he was a butcher when he was younger. Now he owns a slaughterhouse. And then he said one day he took him to work. And he said before coming to the factory, he heard squealing, he heard, crying like that. And they say he was mortified. He didn't want to go in, but his father dragged him in. And then he saw the horror in the slaughterhouse. And so from that day, he became vegan. So I showed him the Higher Taste book. And then he said, I'm not really vegan. He said, I'm vegetarian, because he saw the invitation to the Krishna lounge. It said vegan meal, But he said, I like vegetarian food. But then I showed him the science of self-realization. I showed him, perfection of yoga, an easy journey to other planets. We're running low on books, so we make 4 stacks of books now. So these are the 4. Higher Taste, SSR, Perfection of Yoga, and Easy Journey to Other Planets. And she said, I love all of these books, And I told him, it's foolish to think there's only life on this planet. And he agreed. So I said, here, explore the universe, I gave him the Easy Journey. And then I said, when you think of yoga, what comes to mind? And he said, stretching, breathing, poses. And I said, here, learn about spiritual yoga. I gave him Perfection of Yoga. And I asked him, who are you? And he said, I don't know. I gave him the SSR. He said, how much for the books? And I said, you can give whatever you can from the heart. He goes back to printing books. And he said, I really like what you're doing. And he said, especially the vegetarian book. And he said he was Christian. And then he said, I don't understand why, he said, Christians, I don't understand why they're eating animals. And then he used that famous quote or commandment, thou shalt not kill. And then he said, I think real Christians are vegetarians. And then Srila Prabhupada, he says, it's very rare to find a real Christian. Okay. When I meet families, I tell them that it's better to have one learned son than 100 foolish ones. And then he said, and I also quoted the Niti Shastra. He said that better to have a stillborn or a miscarriage than a useless son, because a useless son gives pain every step, whereas a miscarriage, it only gives misery once. And then they appreciated it, and they said, thank you for reminding us that we have a wonderful responsibility to our children. So I was sharing them the books, and Srila Prabhupada's books, he invested so much time and energy into it, We always hear it, he hardly slept, translating day and night. On top of that, managing temples. It's hard to manage one person, but imagine temples, where there's a lot of devotees. And each devotee have their own unique characteristic and nature. So, the best welfare work is spreading Krishna consciousness to everyone we meet. Okay, it's 8:31. Are there any comments or questions?
Well, let's see if someone has a question. I just have a short comment.
Yeah, I have a short question.
Yes,
One of the main books you distribute is that Softback Gita, right?
mm-hmm.
Do you still have that picture in there of the cowman?
Yeah.
I was thinking if that would be ideal to show that one fellow.
In the front page of Higher Taste, it says karma-free diet.
What does it say?
Karma-free diet.
Oh.
And then I ask people, do you know what karma means? And they say, yeah, what goes around comes around. And I show them that picture.
Oh, jeez.
And I tell them, doesn't it make sense? Karma-free. I said, yeah, it makes sense. So I told him, why would you inflict pain to another living entity who's just trying to live? And I tell him, if you want to practice compassion and mercy, the best way is to become vegetarian. And they understand it. Higher taste.
I got a question.
You guys remember Chris O? That was his first book.
Oh, our Chris.
Higher Taste. He went out on book distribution with me, and that's what he was just that's what he was distributing, Higher Taste. And I said, why don't you distribute other books? He said, this is the book that made me a devotee. Higher Taste. Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah. Well, okay. Karma free, and you're not, but every time you breathe, you're killing living entities. Every time you step, every time you light a match, you're killing all kinds of people. You're killing vegetables. You don't hear the cries of the silent cauliflowers. I mean, you're killing things. Mm-hmm. What makes you so special?
So we're not killing the plant. We're taking the fruits that they offer.
Well, sometimes you kill the plant. Let's be honest. You're not always picking apples.
So the reaction to killing an entity that's more conscious has more severe reactions than those of less conscious beings. And a lot of people, they use this argument, you're also killing plants, But I told them, Srila Prabhupada describes if you have two sons, one is brain dead, and the other one is more conscious, or you can say more normal. You try to protect both, but you emphasize the one that's more conscious. So yeah, but the thing is, we're not incurring any karma. What we do is we offer the food to Krishna, and then it becomes prasadam. A lot of people, they don't have any idea of this, to offer food back to God, which was made by God, actually. So, do you have any?
Can I? But that's the point about prasadam. But okay then. If the real thing is cooking, is offering, then I'll just offer cows and fish and whatever animal I eat. I'll just offer it to Krishna.
Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he doesn't accept anything. He says, if one offers me with love a fruit, flower, leaf, water, then I accept. Srila Prabhupada, he says, this is our Krishna prasadam. We're not actually vegetarian, we're Krishnatarian. Is that what he said? Yeah. So we can't just offer anything to Krishna. We have to know what Krishna wants. Maharaja used this example. Someone wants to make some soup for you. He has a good intention, and he wants to make broccoli soup for you. He doesn't know that you don't like broccoli, So we have good intention, but we have to know what the person wants. So we have to know what Krishna wants. We can't just offer any whimsically to him, We have to read Bhagavad Gita. We have to understand what Krishna likes. Okay. Do you have anything to add, Ravita?
No, just to amplify that.
The real step is that, it's not just a ritual for offering so that you can then eat it. You're actually offering to someone so that he'll eat it, that God eats. And therefore, you want to find out what your guest likes to eat. You're not going to offer him something that he thinks is abominable. Mm-hmm. So that's a very important step in like broadening the consciousness of what the offering really means. Mm-hmm. That it's for his pleasure, and therefore we go into the categories that he suggests that will be pleasing to him.
I got my comment. My comment is Prabhupada talks about paramahaṁsa. And we know that paramahaṁsa means to take out the essence, and and leave aside what's frivolous or useless or temporary. Sat and asat, what's eternal, what's temporary. So, does anyone know how a swan does that? They say that it'll drink in milk and spit out the liquid and swallow the solid, like paneer, So, okay, it's there. It's in the Bhagavatam, I accept. And I was thinking, do they have a strainer, or how does it work? We had a docent, someone who's worked at the San Diego Zoo that takes people on tours. And there's a type of swan A black swan in South Africa. There may be other types of swans. But this black swan from South Africa, it has an enzyme in its mouth, and it curdles the milk and spits out the whey and swallows like the paneer, the milk solid. So it's confirmed from the San Diego Zoo, there's a swan that actually does this, that takes the essence and rejects the superficial. Confirmed by San Diego Zoo.
How do the white swans do it?
Huh?
How do the white swans?
Like I said, there's other types of swans. They didn't even think there was a black swan. Yeah, it's considered an anomaly.
Okay. Thank you for your time and attention.
Hare Krishna?
Yes, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Govardhan Prabhu, thank you very much. You're most kind. Dandavat pranams. Prabhu, do you mind reciting again the last sentence of the purport?
Yes, just a second. If one wants to be liberated from the pangs of material existence, he should take to devotional service for quick attainment of this goal.
Yes, that is the sentence. Thank you very much. You're most kind. So based on this sentence, my question is very simple. How quick?
But you answered that.
I mentioned earlier, Srila Prabhupada says 1 minute. There was a devotee that was saying, oh, how do we convince people? And then Srila Prabhupada said, he's a diseased man. And when someone is diseased, they need treatment, medicine, diet. And if he doesn't, he's suffering. So it takes time. But if one understands devotional service, if one understands their eternal relationship with Krishna, then they'll immediately take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet.
Quoted from the Gita, 18th chapter, tell him that verse. You quoted it.
Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha yashyami masucha. Krishna is saying, abandon all forms of religion and just surrender unto him. He'll deliver us from all sinful reactions, masuchaha, do not fear. So we just depend on Krishna, and it just takes a second. It can take 1 second or 1 billion births. It's up to us.
It's up to us.
That's the best I can do, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, and you did it very well, Govardhan Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.